First up, we had Dusty Divot. Dusty Divot was one of the hardest locations to win at, but it's one of my favourite. It's just was a bit silly because I landed there so much before I even did this. I made a video on the best locations to drop at last season for tournaments. This was on the list. It's a great location. You can either land at the depot or you can land inside the actual divot. You've got so many mats in there, which makes it super easy to clutch out the win. If you want to play it slow, you can, or you can move to retail or salty. It's really up to whatever kind of gameplay you like. There's a lot of highlights I found playing here, and it was super easy to get the win once you actually put your mind to it. It's really fast location. Probably could land here even without doing the challenge. If you're looking just to try and get your first solo win this season, I recommend this as probably the best place to start for noobs at the moment. So in this entire video, it will be quite long. I have one in every single named location in Fortnite. The only exception from this list is Risky Reels, or the block as it's known, as every week it changes location, so I can't really keep it up to date. I've one at the new block locations, but it won't be included. Hope you guys enjoy, and we'll get into the first location. Let's just give a shout out to everyone who helped me make this video. You're going to see their names for my duo and squad partners. It's absolutely crazy to think that people would want to land Junk Junction with me and all the stupid places. I mean, we all have that rando, or we just find people when we go in a random match and they're like, oh, you know what looks good? Haunted Hills. So I was basically that guy. So everyone in these clips I did know. They're all personally my friends. So be sure just to check them out, and a massive thank you to everyone that helped me make this. It's absolutely insane that people would want to land Loot Lake 10 times in a row, because God knows I don't. So we start off this game pretty good. It looks pretty uncontested at the moment, Dusty Divot. We've only got one guy coming along with us. So it's pretty much an easy win. Most of the time when you land early, there's about 0% chance that you're going to die if it's a 1v1, especially if you get a good gun first. The great thing about Dusty Divot, and why I really like this location, is you can see a lot of the gun and chest spawns before you land. So you can choose what kind of gun or weapon you use. If you prefer ARs or shotguns or SMGs, there's a lot of spawns just lying on the ground, so you can pick whatever you're best with at the start of the game. You can also grab a couple early mats from trees, which makes it super easy to outplay anyone. If you just find the gun you like and you know what style you like, it's super easy, and the rotations are really easy. For this game, it was a pretty hard rotation. We're going to end up playing in Frosty Flights. Try and go across onto the plains if you can. Thanks to the new zip lines, you can go straight to the plains from inside the divot. So no matter where the zone is, Frosty Flights is a pretty hard place to get to. But if you're landing in the divot, it's an easy time getting anywhere, especially now with the new plane spawns. Just a friendly reminder to all Fortnite players, it is not a great idea just to build up as high as you can. I don't know who saw some pro play and just thought, let's see how high we can go. You will get shot down if the person's not a bot. So build properly and don't just build as high as you can. I don't know about that absolute genius that thought it would be a good idea to go fly in the sky with those balloons, but it's pretty easy. If you ever see a guy with balloons, just shoot him down. It's absolutely insane that people use it late game. It's very annoying when he's shooting at you and then some idiot thinks it's a good idea to shoot at you too. But it's just hilarious watching people fall to his death. I think this was probably one of the worst lobbies I'd seen in a while. It was an easy RPG right there. And then we just finished them off with the SMG. So it's super easy kill. Win number 1 on the board for Season 7. And we're happy to keep it going. This first clip is me at Happy Hamlet. It is quite possibly the worst play I have ever done in the history of Fortnite. I very much could have deleted it and pretended like it didn't happen, but I thought I'd give you an honest look what it's like playing. I don't want to cheat you guys, I want to show you what really happens. There is a lot of camping, to be honest, in these clips, so they're not going to be high kill games. This was literally just me trying to win in the shortest amount of time possible, so I'll be skipping pretty much me just standing in a corner or a hut for most of the game. So don't worry, it will be basically all kills. If you get confused, just note that when I cut clips, it is still the exact same location. I don't just put random locations in, it's all the same location until you see a victory. I will explain what location it is at the time, so don't get confused. We're still at Happy Hamlet, and it's still the same location. I don't know whether you guys have had a chance to use the quad launcher. It's the same as the RPG, just stupidly broken. If you're using it in a solo scenario, it's absolutely crazy broken. I don't understand how people just don't spam with that thing. Well, they do most of the time. It's basically just spamming and you just hope they run out of ammo. But if you're using it in solo, pretty much guaranteed win. You've just got to look for the right angles. It's super easy. I mean, once you get the hang of building, Hamlet is a really good location because it's super uncrowded now, especially now it's later in the season. If you want a lot of loot, I recommend a Hamlet. Super quiet, could be one of the most underrated spots. So try it out. It's definitely a good location. It's probably one of my favorite. I think it's my second favorite new location in the game. So Hamlet, definitely check it out. And it's an easy dub, I can promise you that. So this is early season 7 Polar Peaks. You can imagine how awful this spot was. I can't explain in words how annoying this place was to land. There was no loot. I mean, if you go there now though, with the update, I highly recommend it. It's a super fun place to land. There's a lot of material options around there. You can land at different gun spawns. There's huge amounts of loot there. It's probably a now underrated place now that it's had a bit of a switch up. But the old place, oh my god, I could not get enough of it. It was the worst place ever to be added in Fortnite, full stop. I've never thought they could ruin a location that bad. So they thought that was bad enough, and clearly they've updated it. They thought, you know what, let's just add the Infinity Sword, which we can all agree was broken, and they removed from the game 4 days after the update. Thank God for that, but I do have clips of the sword in here, as this is a win in every location. There's not much I can do about it. Sorry guys, it had to be this clip, but I was not landing back there until they updated it. The video would take too long if I had to wait until that was updated, but we're happy now. It's a good location, but you can sit back and relax and watch me have absolutely zero loot and fall to my death at every place, because the genius who designed it thought, you know what would be a great idea? We'll put it in a really high location and give them no way to get down. So basically you have to run to the bottom of Polar Peaks. This is still a major problem. You cannot go down the side of it because you will just fall off. There's no option to build down the side of it because it's in a concave angle, which is unbelievably stupid. I don't think you see any pro players landing there really without the sword. It's just an impossible place to rotate from. But now it's updated, it's kind of okay. Please don't ask me about my grappling skills. I cannot believe that it didn't pull me up a centimeter. It couldn't even place a floor underneath me, so I did my best. I really did, but there's only so much you can do. Polar Peaks, I give it a 0 out of 10. That's for sure. I'd rather land Flush Factory the next 50 times. So, for those of you who don't know, the sword was removed from the game. So, if you go back to Polar Pigs, you won't see this sword. Most of you know that, but I thought I'd just chuck that out there. This win was super easy. I think I had quite a few clips of wins at Polar Peaks with this stupid sword. For those of you who don't know how the mechanics worked or have just forgot, you basically could just jump as far as you want and not take fall damage. Or you could hit people for 75 damage with each swing, which you could hold continuously, so it was within a certain range. It was quite a long range, as you guys saw. Pretty easy win. I would say it made Polar Peaks a lot more enjoyable because I really wasn't having much luck without it, so it made this a lot faster than it should have been. So next up we have Fatal Fields. This is by far one of the easiest locations. It took me only one attempt. Super easy, not many people there. It's been out such a long time. I know the map like the back of my hand. The only new thing is cornfields, really easy to play around. Just try not to hide in them and be a noob. This was a 0 kill game. Dude fell to his death. Not much you can do about it, just bad players being bad players. So easy win, fast time, quick 15-minute dub. So Season 7 has brought a nice change to whaling. It was always probably one of the worst locations. The only thing it had going for it was a lot of mats, but now they've added a little turtle behind it where you can grab a couple loot. There's 4 houses and a really cool mechanic where you can teleport in between those houses, which is currently found in the maze made out of the little hedges. So it's a cool little location. It's quite new for Season 7. It spices it up a bit. Creating unique mechanics for places makes it a bit more fun. This was also another first game, first dub. Super easy. Whaling is really out the way for most people, so you're not going to find people. There is always a rift spawn inside the maze if you're looking for one. So it's basically an easy W. You shouldn't have much problems there. It is a bit laggy as this was one of the wins before the patch update, so you will see the victory look a bit delayed. It's not my screen, it's just how the game goes. It was a bug at the time, it is now patched. So first up, we're going to hit up Paradise Palms. This is a little switch up now. I got my boy Dirty in. We're coming straight off the win from whaling. I'm feeling a bit lucky, you know. Sometimes you just feel like you're streaking on win, so get my boy in. Get an insta drop. It's one of the few locations that did not change for Season 7, so you really aren't expecting too much change. If you've landed there before, it's the same as always. There are some new plane spawns if you want to go hit those up, but that's about it. There's not much change. It's a pretty good place to land for loot. You also get a fair amount of mats. I like this if it's an insta drop. That's probably the only time I go there, just because you're going to find a lot of kills. It's a good place actually to outplay players. It's super easy because there's a lot of cover. You can find good loot and you're not just running around with a pistol in the wide open. So if you're looking for a good spot to land, especially if you like a few kills, insta drop, even if it's a bit of a side drop and it's early, you will get a few players going there. So no complaints, it's a great place to land and an easy dub. Huh?
No, I got a 96 hit shot on him.
So I just held high ground until I knocked him low enough that I thought I could drop down. This was all 2v1, so look, pretty easy to do. We've got high ground, sweet play, drop down, clean him up, then I'm healing up. I'm telling my teammate, please don't end him. I got to get this last kill, but look, there's only so much you can do. Get the quick thirst and get the victory royale. So I had a pretty big dub, but I had a couple of games before that where I had some deaths. So I'm going to obviously just show you the clips, the deaths, some really cool highlight. I had an amazing trap kill you're going to see. But I'm going to put on some sweet music, just chuck on some EDM in the background, and you can see a little highlight, and trust me, I think you're going to be pretty happy with this win. It was the biggest kill game by far. It was pretty impressive by my standards, so I'm really happy with how it went. And just stay, check it out, and watch the tilted win, as you've seen many before. We had a good start so far, we're doing alright, but the storm's coming in, we're currently in a really bad position. The problem is there's currently 4 people on my way and I'm in the storm. So it's not looking too good at the moment, but you got to try and get as many kills as possible. The problem is I'm trying to get the kills and I'm trying to get the win, so I'm just trying to rack up the kills. It's not about the win at this point because it just looks so much better with these kills and I think you guys will find it more enjoyable. So we're going to be getting pretty close here. There's a lot of damage getting put onto me, so it's really important that you have heals at all times. Don't just be carrying weapons. If you want big wins, you gotta carry heals. It's just so important because someone's going to take hits on you, and if not, you're going to be camped in the storm. But I'm so happy with how we played this. We had a nice little 180 RPG for the storm camper. We got the chug. I mean, there's not much more you can say. It's really the perfect kind of loot, and it just sets you up really well. It's got me going well, and now we're going to finish the last guy and get the victory royale. 13 kills. Absolutely amazing. So proud of myself. Awesome clips. Now we've got Snobby Shores. So this is actually one of my least favourite locations in the game, to be honest. I really don't like Snobby. It's in a really bad position, and it's situated where all the houses are in a row. So it's just really annoying. You can't really get an angle on where to fight. It's hard to tell where people land because they could land at any house and you don't really have a good view of it. It's really hard to keep track of. I found this place super hard with the storm as well. A lot of time I was getting stuck in the storm and just getting tagged by that alone. And if you just get bad games like whaling, you may as well just write it off, and there's no real point landing at a location where you're just guaranteed to die to storm. The only thing they've really got is an ATV, and when that's your best option and you got no rifts, you got no planes, it's not even worth landing there. I can't understand why people go there. It's honestly one of my least favourite spots, and there's just no reason to go there at all. So many better locations, but every place must be won it, and that's what I've done. So now we have one of the most infamous locations, Shifty Shafts. It's in the middle of the map, but no one really lands there. I think everyone's thought that it's a pretty bad spot. I actually didn't think much about it. I never really land there. I prefer Tilted. Everyone lands Tilted, and I think that's well known. But now that I've landed there a couple times, I think it's awful. I really hate landing there, and I don't think I'll ever land there again unless there's some kind of challenge that requires it. Shifty really doesn't have too much to offer. It's really annoying moving around. But I will say, if you get to know the Shifty area quite well, I think it definitely is worth camping there because it's got quite a nice little haunted mine kind of part. You can hide, there's some houses. You can get decent loot, but overall, it's a bit of a hard location if you've never really dropped there. And also, it hasn't changed much, and it's quite early in Season 7. So we're looking for some really fun ways to get wins and some new locations with different loot, because Shifty's been there for a couple seasons now. We can always switch it up, but it is a good place. It wasn't too hard to get a win. Not my favourite, but look, a win's a win and we take it. So that brings up the total to win number 10 now. So we're getting really close. We're over halfway now. Majority of the way through the video. Keep with it. We're almost done. So out of all the locations we went to, this was probably my favourite, as it was an area I hadn't really experienced before. I did go there for the original event for the cube exploding, so it's not like I hadn't been there, but travelling along the outskirts was really cool. I found it really enjoyable, and overall it ended up being a pretty underrated spot that I hadn't been to before. But if you're looking to try a new place out, this was my number one place that I recommend now. It's just super fun. Most people don't really try landing there, but you will find a few kills, so it's pretty fun. There's a lot of loot as well. I underestimated how much loot there is. Even when I run past there at the end game, there's always a chest that hasn't been looted, just because it's so big and there's so much different places to land. If not, you can land at the factories near it. Super fun. If you're a really good aimer as well, if shooting's your best ability and you're not that good of a builder, go there and you'll pretty much win every fight, as there's not many mats to farm up at the start of it. So it'll be easy kills for you. I'll chuck some music on and we can just see the highlights from all these plays. Alright, let's go to the motel. Oh, radio. I see him.
What?
No, he died in the storm.
Yeah, but what?
So Lonely was a pretty easy location. It was a first game, first dub kind of thing. It's pretty quiet. It's on the edge of the map. There's not much to do. There's some new planes which are pretty cool. But overall, there's really not too much to talk about. It's a really old location as well. The trees are good to farm. You get mushrooms, so it's guaranteed shield. So if you play it really slow, I think Lonely is one of the best locations to get a win at as well, because there's not many places other than Divot that I can think of that have a guaranteed 100 shield, and if not, Lonely definitely has more mushrooms. It also has more chests. So it's a super underrated location. It's not in the middle either, so you're not going to get it contested. So you should basically get first win, first dub every time if you're pretty competent. So, Lucky Landings is a pretty weird spot when I think about it. Not many people go there, and I really don't blame you. I think it's really a spot where you kind of either really like it or you don't. There's no in between. So either you land there or you don't. Most people are pretty on the don't side. I think it's quiet most of the time. I still remember when it first came out. Everyone thought it was really cool. It's got some unique scenes, so I can understand why. But I actually won 2 out of 2 games here. I'm only showing one of them just because this clip's already so long. But it's just insanely easy to win here. Good loot, good mats, easy to go. I mean, absolutely no complaints with this place. It's just a cool little addition to Fortnite. So we have Tomato Town. This is the only location that I really hadn't actually landed at in Season 7 or really Season 6. It was a unique place to land at. I've been past it obviously. If I'd landed somewhere else, I'd gone past Tomato. So I knew the layout well. I knew where pretty much all the loot spawns were because I've gone past and they've clearly been looted or not looted because it's a pretty quiet location. So a lot of time, if it's a weird bus drop and you're just coming from Lonely, Wailing or Risky or the block, you're going to be fine and you can go get that loot from there anyway. I really like farming the little tomato head for some reason on the little pyramid. I think that's just a really cool thing that Epic Games does well. They add really fun little interactions which gives you a lot of mats, and it's really funny getting rid of that thing because it's super annoying and stupid. I'd obviously never landed there before, so I thought it was a good opportunity, and it was a good location. I mean, I clearly had thought it was pretty bad, because I remember the old Tomato Town, and for those of the OGs listening in, we all know how bad it really was before then. I would never land there. When I was a noob, I thought it was a good spot, but now that I look back on it, it was a pretty bad spot. So I just really had that same impression. If you're looking for a place that you haven't landed at, I recommend trying out Tomato. I was pleasantly surprised, so I found with most of the new updates, they have been good locations added, and it's really not been too bad, with the exception of, obviously, Polar Peaks.
Oh, they're not. I'll spend the 50 RPG.
So we're getting on to the real end of this video. It's almost at the half-hour mark. So thank you for listening so far, but I want a second just to rant about Haunted Hills. So I actually wanted to make this video a bit earlier, and the first location I dropped at in Season 6, this was quite late in Season 6, was Haunted Hills, and I got the first win first time. It was in a nice duo. Had a decent duo partner, nothing crazy, not like a pro or anything. So I thought, Season 7, I'll give it a go again. Nothing really changed about the area. Planes kind of made it a bit easier, but there's nothing too crazy about that. So we thought, we'll give it a shot, and it did not go well. So Haunted Hills ended up being an absolutely terrible location. It was super hard to go with Storm. There was no mobility at all around us. There was no rifts or anything. Most times, if I was looking for kills, I would rotate towards Junk Junction. So this is what I'm thinking at the moment. I actually think for Season 8 or late Season 7, if they're doing more map changes, Haunted Hills will be the next place to go. I can pretty much guarantee that, as when Haunted Hills was added, it was added because there was just a blank area in the map and it really didn't make sense for nothing to be there at all. So they've clearly tried to fill it and they didn't spend any time on it, and it's turned out to be a bad location. You don't really see people landing there at all, and it's understandable. I very much doubt you land there. And if you do land there, it might be off an insta drop, or you might just be playing with a friend who's quite new, so you don't want a really busy early game. And that's kind of the only positive I can say about Haunted Hills. Other than that, it's
pretty quiet, and the people that do land there, it's super annoying because it's hard to tell where people land, and the gun spawn's really inconsistent, the loot is terrible, so a lot of the time you can take a lot of early damage, and it's just really stupid because you're not finding much heals, so you'll be leaving there in a pretty bad shape. There were a few occasions where I got some good guns, and that was basically how I ended up winning, but you're basically hoping for the best. It's pretty much just RNG landing there, but worst spot, I rate this the worst spot so far I landed at in this tournament.
Even if you're not the most accurate shooter, don't forget just to take every shot, especially when your opponent's in the air. You can get a couple hits, they'll be worried, and you weaken them a bit. There's absolutely no downside to it, even if it's not your strength. Always take it. You miss every shot you don't take, so make sure you get the opportunities, and you might get that lucky headshot, which secures you the win.
We've got 2 locations left to finish the whole entire challenge. So we've currently got Pleasant Park up first, and then we've got Junk Junction. So this was the only game that we included that was actually a squad other than one tilted. This was the only full gameplay and win with a squad. Although, as you're going to see, there was no squad and I ended up winning it by myself. So that's the only reason I even ended up putting it in here. I just thought it was a super interesting game and a good clutch win, so absolutely no complaints. Then we've got Junk Junction. So now we're just going to be talking about how long this took. It took me 26 hours of gameplay. So that's not just in time, so you play for 26 hours straight. Although technically you could do that. I had to space the time over. So it ended up being about 4 or 5 days in total of actual gameplay. And that was pretty dedicated, playing 8 to 10 hours a day. So I was pretty happy with how it ended up, although I couldn't play that much every day. I think it was an interesting challenge. I would be really interested to see a pro player try and do this. I think 26 hours is not a very good time. Win takes around about 15 minutes, I think, so it is possible to finish this whole challenge in pretty much half that time. So I'd be really interested if some of you could send this to some cool streamers or YouTubers you know, and they can give the challenge a go, see how long it takes them to win in every location. They don't have to upload a video, they can just comment a time or something, and even if you're just a regular player, give it a shot. You have to remember that this isn't for kills and not the best highlight plays, but I make plays anyway just because I want to get the win, and sometimes you've just got a situation where you've got to outplay people. So overall, it ended up taking not that long. I thought it was going to be more into the 40 hours, but that's alright, I guess. There's no complaints with how long it ended up taking, but I'm happy. It does take a while to edit these clips. It was a huge amount of gameplay, as you can tell. Just trying to cut it down, refine, and then talk over. So, I'm sorry about that, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. It took 26 hours just for people. So, the best I've actually heard of this season is currently 20, so if you're looking for the 20, go for the 20.